Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. In this video, I'm going to try to give you a very comprehensive method that I use in order to print photographs that match my screen. Now, let me preface this by saying that you must have your monitor, regardless of what type of monitor you're using. It has to be calibrated, and not calibrated by a software. It has to be calibrated by a combination of a hardware calibrator and its corresponding software. A calibrator does not introduce any bias that your eyes would do if you're just using simple software to calibrate your monitor visually. So I am using an X-Rite Color Monkey Photo, and I have calibrated my monitor to a point where my prints actually match it. And why is calibration of the monitor important? Because it brings your editing that you're going to do in your images so that it makes sense. In other words, if your color is off on your monitor, then it matters not how you edit. If you add a little bit of change to one of your images, it really doesn't matter because your monitor is off anyway. So your monitor has to be displaying images correctly so that you're editing them makes sense. Now, we'll go ahead and begin by opening one of my favorite images. This is my wedding that I did for a friend of mine, and this is one of my favorite shots. You may have seen this if you have seen some of my previous videos. Now, edit, color settings, and as you can see, most of the time Photoshop will default to sRGB. Okay, so if you happen to have a high-end monitor that's capable of displaying Adobe RGB color space, then you might want to set this at Adobe RGB 1998, such as this. We'll go ahead and do so. My printers are relatively high-end, and they should be able to print higher colors than the simple sRGB color space can actually reproduce. So we'll go ahead and set it to Adobe RGB 1998, click OK. Now, this image has already been edited. I would like to say that in order for me to get it to the point where I'm satisfied, I needed to set a black and white point. And in order to be able to see those values, you need to go to Windows and then show Info, or click F8 in your Windows computer. It might also work on a Mac. Now, as we hover over the white areas of the dress, you're going to see over here, in this region here, you will see the values represented. Now, remember 255, true 55, 255 is pure white. We don't want anything to fall at that pure white setting. We want it to be within maybe 10 points maximum. At the very, very maximum, maybe 5. So let's just say no more than 250, 250, 250, or anywhere nearby that area there. We don't want chalky white highlights. We want detail. So right around this area here, I am about 236, 235, 241, and that's reasonable. All right, so we want to maintain all of the very subtle detail of the white dress. Now, once we have achieved that, we can go ahead and go over to the shadows. We are going to check the dark areas on the hair. And as you can see, if you look at the values, we are around 888, maybe a little bit deeper than that, 777, and somewhere around there. Remember, 000 is like if you poured black ink directly on the paper. So we do not want to fall below 555 anywhere. We want to maintain a good black, but a black that has good detail. Here is very, very dark. And so these areas will go pure black. And so you may want to adjust that. We're going to go ahead and leave this as is now. And we're going to concentrate on the printer driver, which is the part that escapes most people. So remember, in order to make this edit in the whole scheme of things as we print, we have to make sure that the monitor is displaying all of these colors correctly. Because if I add a little bit more magenta or retract a little bit of green or add a little bit of yellow, that has to make sense. That has to match my output. And if my monitor is displaying colors incorrectly, then what does it matter if I change the color balance slightly? It's going to be wrong anyway. So first step, calibrate your monitor. Okay. Second step, set your color space in your Photoshop if that is what you use to an output that matches your monitor's capacity to display colors and also the printer's capacity to reproduce those colors. If you have a simpler printer, then simpler monitor, then sRGB, that would be your best color space for printing on, say, a 6-color printer rather than an 8 or 12 color printer. All right, so let's go to File and Print. And as you can see, we have the Pro one from Canon chosen for this example. I chose this one because the Canon driver is very difficult to set for complete color management process. So we're going to go ahead and set that first, and then we'll come back and do a bit of soft proofing. Print settings, photo printing, click borderless off. We have this particular paper size. We'll pick 13 by 19, we'll make a nice big print. And we have Photo Paper Pro Luster chosen. And this will normally be off. It will not be chosen. You'll want to go ahead and click that, and you will be driven to this window here. This is for your manual controls if you're letting the driver control color, but we're not doing that. We're going to actually use an ICC profile, which is a lot more accurate. So we're going to click on Matching and click on None, and then click on OK. All right, so let's go ahead and repeat that. Photo printing, paper size, paper type, high quality, color matching, intensity, manual adjustment. So color intensity, manual adjustment. You're going to look that in any Canon driver you choose to print to. Matching and None, and OK, and OK. So now the printer driver is set correctly. So now we have to tell the Photoshop printer module to allow it to control colors. Normally it will be printer manages colors. We're going to tell it to allow Photoshop to manage colors. And as you can see, all of a sudden we can see all of our ICC profiles, of which there are tons because I have so many printers installed. So here we have the Photo Paper Pro Luster chosen. That's the correct one. We're going to choose relative colorimetric, black point compensation, and scale to fit media. Now, why is it not shown in the proper orientation? Well, I should rotate it, shouldn't I? So we'll go ahead and rotate it. We'll rotate it one time, and now you will see it displayed in the correct orientation for the 13 by 19. Now, I want it to have a nice border. So I'm going to go ahead and instead of hitting scale to fit, I'm going to go ahead and set it to 70%. And here we have a nice artsy look to this image, oriented with a landscape orientation to the paper. Remember, you have to feed the paper always in portrait orientation into your printer. Never landscape, always portrait. And you rotate your print so that it's oriented within the paper in the correct orientation you wish to have. In this case, it's landscape. All right, so that's it. We're going to hit done. And now I'm going to rotate this back so that we can work on the soft proofing. So now we have it rotated back to the original horizontal orientation. Now to access soft proofing, and what does soft proofing do? It actually simulates how it will appear in paper. Paper has an effect on the print. Viewing it right here in our monitor, this is being lit from behind. As is, all LCD monitors are backlit. It appears brighter, more saturated, more pop, more contrast than it will on paper, which is viewed instead of transmitted light by reflective light. And so therefore it will appear somewhat duller to what the monitor's appearance is. We want our print to match the monitor. So we'll go ahead and select View, Printer Setup, and Custom. And we'll be shown this little window here. Now, what we do here is we will pick the corresponding profile for that particular printer and paper. So we'll find our Pro 1 section. Here is the Pro Luster paper profile. All right. So now we have black point compensation, relative colorimetric. Now I have covered this topic in other videos. Basically, relative colorimetric will not shift any values that are within gamut already, but it will only allow out of gamut colors to come in. So nothing will shift. Specifically, we do not want to shift skin tones. Now, the other choice is perceptual, and that could shift everything that's within the gamut of the printer. So if you have anything out of gamut, it squeezes it in, and in order to make room for it, it has to shift what's already included within the gamut. We don't want any shifting, so we will use relative colorimetric. Now, if I click on simulate paper color, the paper will actually dull down the actual image slightly in print form. So we like to see it simulated paper color. And so here is what we can do now. We can just toggle back and forth between off and on, off and on, off and on. And you can see how the slight dullness or less saturated look is applied. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and print it this way, or we can actually enhance the image further so that we can bring back some of that pop that we lost. Close it, just hit OK. Now this image is still being viewed under or through that magical ICC profile for ProLuster, and is giving us an approximated look of how it's going to look like on paper. So if I was to print this and I brought the paper print toward my monitor and I put it side by side, it will match this look. But I want to go ahead and bring back a bit of that pops. So we're going to go to image adjustment and levels. And I'm going to go ahead and increase my contrast a little bit. Bring my black point, white point down, maybe brighten it a little bit more. So you can see as I make slight adjustments, that is translated over to the image, and that is okay. This is what we want. We're going to go ahead and print that. I'm going to go ahead and re-rotate it. We'll go over to print. Everything should be set again. I have printer manages colors. We'll go ahead and change that to Photoshop. And here's our profile, relative colorimetric, black point compensation. And we have our scale at 70% so that it gives us a nice border. And we'll go ahead and hit print. And when the print emerges, I can bring it right over to the monitor and it will match what we have. That's the way to do that. Now, if you accidentally do not turn off color matching, you will have double profiling, which tends to throw your color off. All right, so we'll go ahead and turn that off. And we will try another printer. So we'll go ahead and let's open up another image here. Something very colorful like this. This is the dress for the Chinese portion of the wedding, her shoes, and her white wedding dress. And you can see how colorful that is. We'll go ahead and choose this time maybe an Epson 3800, 3880. We'll go ahead and choose that one. And we will choose our paper size. We'll go ahead and do a nice big 17 by 22. And we'll go ahead and choose Ultra Premium Luster. Here are all your paper types. And we're going to go ahead and choose high quality. And it will default itself to Epson standard RGB. This is the driver controlling color. We want none, but where is it? It's not listed here. Well, we have to hit on custom. And now once we do that, we click on color controls and turn it off. Off, no color adjustment. And then we click OK. So let's do that once again. Click on printer settings, Ultra Premium Luster, color, quality, and off. Again, remember it will set itself at Epson standard RGB as a default. So we want to go ahead and click on custom, color controls, and off. And that is it. Scale to fit media, it will fit the whole thing with a slight border. Or we can do the same thing we did before. Let's see what happens if we hit like 75%. It creates a nice, almost even border, nice artsy type border, which are usually quite wide. A lot of people have a aversion toward wide borders. I love them. I think it really sets the image in place. Print, and we should have a matching image. We'll go ahead and now set our soft proofing. It's being viewed under the old Canon profile, which is of course incorrect. We'll go ahead and load the Epson Luster profile, And as you can see, it does affect it, doesn't it? Takes away quite a bit. Now, here's a little secret for you guys. This dulling will not be as apparent on your actual print. Okay, it will not be as apparent. So let me show you what might happen if I click black point compensation. Sometimes black point compensation will prevent the blocking up of the lowest steps of the tonal scale. So if you click it, it will open up. See, it's opening this up a little bit here. If I don't have it set, it tends to block up. If I have it set, it tends to open it up a little bit. And so it's always a good idea to have that open. Now we can go ahead and make our little post soft proofing adjustments. Okay, and if you do that, I'm going to block up all of the blacks. So we want to keep it slightly open. And that's about it. That's about it. We'll go ahead and print that. And now we can be assured that the print that we produce will match. Because remember, this will always be set back to the original default setting unless you save the image. And then once you do that, it will save the actual settings. I'll go ahead and set it to 75%. That's what we did earlier, and that's it. We are now printing it. All right. Okay, so that is it. It's as simple as that. Just keep in mind that you need to follow certain steps. You need to make sure your monitor is calibrated. You need to make sure your correct color space is being chosen for the abilities of your monitor and your printer. You need to make sure that you choose the correct ICC profile for the correct printer, for the correct paper, and the correct ink set. And you can soft proof by doing what I said, by using View, Proof Setup, Custom, and setting your soft proofing parameters here, choosing the correct ICC profile, black point compensation, and relative colorimetric. Or you can choose perceptual if it's a photo not including skin tones. It's very important. Hit OK. Go ahead and make your adjustments. Go to your print module. Choose Photoshop manages colors, the correct matching profile, relative or perceptual, and size it to fit and hit print. We'll try the 3800. Make sure you go to your printer settings and have your paper chosen, and in this case custom and off and high quality, and click, and you are set. Make sure you turn off color management in your printer driver if you're going to allow Photoshop to control color. And that is all you have to do. Thank you for watching. Please, if you have any questions concerning any of these techniques, just ask below and I will definitely answer you. So until the next time, please subscribe, share, and like. Happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.